Madam Speaker, my question is to the Premier. Premier, I refer to the Chamber of Commerce and Industry's Consumer Confidence Survey released today, which shows that for the first time since September 2020, more Western Australians expect economic conditions to weaken than to strengthen, due largely to the soaring cost of living. And I ask, Premier, are you comfortable sitting on a $5.8 billion surplus while WA families struggle to make ends meet?
The Premier.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you to the member for the question. A few things to report in relation to this. First of all, the employment figures came out today, which showed that there were 6,882 jobs created full-time in Western Australia in the month of February. And that means since this government's been in office, there's around 152,000 jobs created in Western Australia. Incredibly strong employment growth in Western Australia. Second point is we now have the highest participation rate in history at 70%. So highest rate of all the states and the highest rate in history, which means the confidence of people in the labour market is extraordinarily strong. Those figures came out today in the midst of the Omicron outbreak in Western Australia. In the midst of that, that has occurred. So we have our record in terms of economic activity and reforms and our encouragement of activity, and also our management of COVID has resulted in those extraordinarily strong employment figures. In terms of cost of living, obviously we are very sympathetic to West Australians in terms of these issues. That's why we gave everyone the $600 grant on their electricity bill a bit over a year ago. That's why we have, at various points in time, froze electricity and water increases. That's why we recently put in place the two-zone fare cap, which is saving some families up to $3,000 a year in terms of their use of public transport. That's why we made free rats available. The only government in Australia to have done that for families in Western Australia. And as you know, when you go to buy them, they can be quite expensive. So we've actually made free rats available to households, and we're extending that as we speak across Western Australia. Now you contrast that with the last government. It was around 10% increases in electricity each and every year when averaged. That's what happened in terms of cost of living pressures under the last Liberal National Government. At the same time, record revenues, at the same time, record debt and record deficits. Quite an extraordinary record you had last time you were in office. Now, we understand the issues are out there. A lot of them are obviously outside of our control. The war in Ukraine, as unbelievable as it is, I'm actually saying that, a war in Europe is causing a lot of unintended and very adverse consequences across the world, in particular in relation to cost of living pressures. But we have a budget that's coming up later this year. Obviously, in the lead up to and during that budget process, all those matters will be considered.
Supplementary question.
Supplementary.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Premier, right now, families are making the choice between putting fuel in their cars and buying groceries. When will you step up to the plate and deliver the social dividend of your eye-watering surplus during this global energy crisis?
The Premier.
Madam Speaker, I just answered your question about the things that we have done compared to the last time that the Liberal National parties were in office, and the fact that we have been the most economically responsible government in Australia in a long time.
This is unusual times.
Now, obviously, in the lead up to the state budget, we'll be able to consider these matters. I just announced to you, I just told you, we provided free rates to people. We provided grants on electricity. We've kept electricity and water charges down at historically low levels certainly compared to the last Liberal National Government. We've done all those things. And we just brought in, just a matter of a couple of months ago, the two-zone fare cap across the state. We kept the country age pension fuel card. We've extended it to various volunteer organisations. All those sorts of things we put in place since we've been in office, because we actually manage the finances properly. But we are very sympathetic to families. We understand there's a significant issue out there. It's not of our making. And as you know, petrol excise, for instance, petrol excise is not a state government. We don't impose it. You don't understand, Leader of the Liberal Party. You don't understand anything really. But you don't understand, and certainly your performance yesterday shows you don't understand much at all about proper behaviour. But in any event, it's a matter, the fuel excise is not something we control. Now, I haven't campaigned on that, unlike the South Australian Premier and others, the Tasmanian Premier and the like. I haven't campaigned on that. I realise it's a difficult issue for the Commonwealth Government to deal with. But I just urge all governments nationally to take account of these issues, and certainly it's something we are considering as we go forward.